Well, good morning, friends. Jayendra Rana here. So, the topic of the day is fire insurance clauses. Fire insurance clauses. So, fire insurance is a contract of insurance against the loss or damage by accidental fire or other occurrences customarily included in a fire policy. So, fire insurance is a form of property insurance that covers damage and loss caused by fire and its allied perils. Most policies come with some form of fire protection, but homeowners may be able to purchase additional coverages in case of their property is lost or damaged because of fire. So, purchasing additional fire coverage helps to cover the cost of replacement, repair, or reconstruction of the property above the limit set by the property insurance policy. Fire insurance policies typically contain general exclusions such as war, nuclear risk, and similar perils. Damage caused by a fire set deliberately is also typically not covered. So there are certain important fire insurance clauses. Let's understand what these clauses are. The most common is agreed bank clause. So all policies in which bank, financial institution has interests shall be issued in the name of bank or financial institutions and the owner of mortgagors and shall contain a suitable clause to protect their interest. A specimen copy of the clause is given, which reads as it is hereby declared and agreed that upon any money is becoming payable under this policy, the same shall be paid by the company to the bank, and such part of any money is so paid as may relate to the interest of other parties insured hereunder shall be received by the bank as agents for such other parties, that the receipts of the bank shall be complete discharge of the company therefore and shall be binding on all parties insured thereunder. Similarly, contract price insurance class is there. In the case of insurance of imported goods only and not for the goods of local manufacturer, so which are sold under a contract which is cancelled either wholly or to the extent of loss or damage, it is permissible to issue a policy on the basis of contract price, and following clause shall be inserted that reads, it is hereby agreed and declared that in respect of or in respect only of goods sold but not delivered for which the insured is responsible and with regard to which under the conditions of the sale contract is by reason of the perils covered under the policy cancelled either wholly or to the extent of the loss or damage, the liability of the company shall be based on the contract price, and for the purpose of average, the value of all goods to which the clause would be in the event of loss or damage be applicable shall be ascertained on the same basis. And designation of property clause for the purpose of determining where necessary the items under which any property is insured. The insurers agree to accept the designation under which the property has been entered in the insured's books. And reinstatement value clause. This reinstatement value insurance may be granted on buildings, machinery, furniture, fixtures, and fittings, only subject to the incorporation of the clause. Say under this clause, the work of replacement or reinstatement which may be carried out upon another site and in any manner suitable to the requirement of the insured, subject to the liability of the company, not being thereby increased, must be commenced and carried out with reasonable dispatch, and in any case must be completed within 12 months after the destruction or damage of, or within such further time as the company may in writing allow, otherwise no payment beyond the amount which would have been payable under the policy, if this memorandum had not been incorporated therein, shall be made. So until expenditure has been incurred by the insured in replacing or reinstating the property destroyed or damaged, the company shall not be liable for any payment in excess of the amount which would have been payable under the policy if this memorandum has been incorporated therein. So if at the time of replacement or reinstatement the sum representing the cost which would have been incurred in replacement or reinstatement, if the whole or of the property covered had been destroyed, exceeds the sum insured thereon at the time of commencement of any destruction or damage to that property by any of such peril insured against by the policy, then the insured shall be considered as being his own insurer for the excess and shall bear a rateable proportion of the loss accordingly. Each item of the policy to which this memorandum applies shall be separately subject to the foregoing provisions. This memorandum shall be without force or effect if the insured fails to intimate to the company within 6 months from the date of destruction or damage or such further time as the company may be in writing allowing his intention to replace or reinstate the property destroyed or damaged. So the insured is unable or unwilling to replace or reinstate the property destroyed or damaged on the same or another site is also possible. But now this clause has been modified and now the new policy is introduced by the IRDA. The sum insured is taken only on the basis of the reinstatement value of all properties, furniture, pictures and machineries. Then the local authority clause, reinstatement value policy may be extended to cover additional cost of reinstatement solely by reason of the necessity to comply with the regulations of the local authority by incorporating this clause. This clause says the insurance by this policy extends to include such additional cost of reinstatement of the destroyed or damaged property hereby insured as may be incurred solely by reason of the necessity to comply with the building or other regulations under or framed in pursuance of any act of parliament or with the bylaws of any municipal or local authority, provided that the amount recoverable under this extension shall not include the cost incurred in complying with any of the aforesaid regulations or bylaws in respect of destruction or damage occurring prior to the granting of this extension, and respect of destruction or damage not insured by the policy, under which notice has been served upon the insured prior to the happening of the destruction or damage, in respect of undamaged property or undamaged portions of the property other than foundations, unless foundations are specifically excluded from the insurance by this policy, of that portion of the property or destroyed or damaged. So the additional cost that would have been required to take good the property damaged or destroyed by a condition equal to its condition when you had the necessity to comply with any of the aforesaid regulations. So the work of reinstatement must be commenced and carried out with reasonable dispatch, and in any case must be completed within 12 months after the destruction or damage or with the further time as the insurers may require. So if the liability of the insurer under any item of the policy apart from this extension shall be reduced by the application of any terms and conditions of the policy, then the liability of the insurers under this extension shall be reduced in like proportions. So the total amount recoverable under any item of the policy shall not exceed the sum insured. Next one is escalation clause. The following clause, in escalation clause, the wordings used are like in consideration of the payment of an additional premium amounting to 50% of the premium produced by applying the specified percentage to the first or the annual premium as appropriate on the under noted items, like the sums and sum insured during the period of insurance by increased each day by an amount representing 1/365 of the specified percentage increased per annum. Item number specified percentage increase per annum unless specifically agreed to the contrary. The provision of this policy or the clause shall only apply to the sum insured and force at the commencement of each period of insurance. So in case of long-term policy, this would be on the percentage basis. So architects, surveyors and consulting engineers fees up to 3% it was there, now it has been increased to 5%. This clause is also confirming because this has been increased in the new policies introduced by the IRDA from 1st April 2021. Similarly, the removal of debris clause, that was 1%, but it is now increased to 2% in the new policies like Bharat Sukshma Udyam Suraksha, Bharat Laghu Udyam Suraksha. Then there is a floater clause. The clause is attached to the policies where the locations up or downs are at the different places. So in consideration of floater extra charge over and above the policy rate, the sum insured in aggregate under the policy is available for any one or more or all locations as specified in respect of the movable property. At all times during the currency of the policy, the insured should have a good internal audit and accounting procedure under which the total amount at risk and the location can be established at any particular time if required. So the changes in the address of locations specifically declared at inception should be communicated. Then there is declaration clause. The following shall be attached to declaration policies like in consideration of the claim by the policy being provisional, that it is subject and adjustment on expiry of each period of insurance. The average of the values at risk on each day of the month, or the maximum liability of the company to decide, and the stocks shall at times of loss be collectively of greater value than the sum insured, then the insured shall be considered as being his own insurer for the difference and shall bear a rateable proportion of the loss accordingly. Every time if more than one on stock shall be separately subject to this condition. Then voluntary deductible clause is also there. And among the other important clauses, the 72 hours clause is most important, because this clause shall cover all perils caused by act of God, including but not limited to the tsunami, tempest and cyclones, floods, etc. Each loss by flood and all losses from the peril within a 72-hour period shall be deemed to be one loss, and so far as the total sum insured and deductible provisions of this policy are concerned. So the company shall not be liable for any loss caused by any flood occurring before the effective date and the time of this policy. However, the insurer will be liable for any loss occurring for a period of or up to 72 hours after the expiration of the policy. And among the others, there are some prominent clauses like payment on account clause, nominated and registered clause, outbuilding clause, unoccupancy clause, loss pays clause, arbitration clause. So this arbitration clause you will find among all the policies. So these are some important clauses which are in favor of the customers if they are choosing these clauses. That much coverage is extended in all fire policies. Thank you very much.